Hi, my name is Gustavo, and I'll be talking about how I attracted or addressed the audience to my thriller opening sequence. So, first, I want to discuss what my thriller is about. My thriller uh, follows the story of this this woman who is a contract killer, and she basically kills husbands who are unfaithful to their wives. Um, I can relate my thriller to a movie called Colombiana, which follows a similar storyline, which is about this girl who witnessed their parents being murdered when she was younger, and then she grew up to be an assassin, basically. So both these two, my thriller and Colombiana, kind of portray the female power. And from the spy's point of view, I can relate my thriller to a movie called Rear Window. Rear Window is about this guy who sits in his balcony, in his wheelchair, and he's a photographer, and he spies on his neighbors through his windows, and he gets convinced that one of them has committed murder. So we see him taking pictures, just like we see the spy taking pictures of the criminal in my thriller. Things like the setting uh, would indicate that my thriller would be directed to people who like thrillers, basically. Well, this is because things like the setting fit with thriller conventions. For example, in my thriller, we used a secluded car park. Well, it's secluded. That kind of suggests mystery, and mystery is one of the conventions for a thriller. The audience can also relate to the setting because basically, due to the environment and to the weather, it is possible to say that it might be in England. Um, Not exactly England, but we would eliminate places like Brazil or tropical islands from the equation because of the certain environment. Some of the pleasures that would attract the audience for my thriller uh, will also be part of the conventions of a thriller because it is quite suspenseful, and I'll touch on that later on how I made my thriller suspenseful. There's also a sense of mystery in my thriller, and also uh, tension, a lot of tension. There's also intriguing characters, such as, well, because the women in my thrillers they're good looking. Um, so that obviously already attracts men. However, the movie is mainly directed to women because of the feminist power sort of thing. In terms of narrative, things that would attract the audience would be stuff such as the audience might start thinking, who is that guy with the camera? What is he doing? Why is he doing that? Because they're not given any information before the opening sequence starts, and that already intrigues the audience and makes them start thinking. They can also start thinking stuff as such as what is in that envelope that the wife is handing to the killer. I mean, they don't even know that one of the ladies is a housewife and that the other one is a contract killer. However, they are given clues due to the fact that there is a spy hidden taking pictures of both the two women, and one of them has a more serious look in her face, professional look, dangerous look. Meanwhile, the other one has a very neutral, nervous kind of look in her face. Something that may also intrigue and attract the audience is the radio noises coming from the walkie-talkie, because it is not clear what the dialogue between the two women is, so the audience might start trying to work out what they're saying, and that's something else that attracts. Also, my thriller opening sequence ends as a cliffhanger. Basically, meaning that we see that the spy got caught, but we don't know what happens next, because the last shot we see is both the women looking at the spy. Something else that's very interesting about my thriller is that it both adheres and it subverts to a stereotype. On one sense, it adheres to a stereotype because, well, the woman is scared, the wife, and she's nervous, which is basically the typical, stereotypically viewed woman in the film industry. However, it subverts to the stereotype because the other woman, who is the killer, has a scary look, a dangerous look. So therefore, this is not how most people view women as killers. Most of the times we view it as men. So that's why it also subverts to the stereotype. Also, my thriller is a linear narrative, meaning that it would attract the audience because they would have to kind of piece things together as opposed to know what's going to happen and then be given the information before that, which can sometimes be a bit confusing. So, being a linear narrative is going to force the audience into using their brains when they're watching my thriller to know why the photographer is taking pictures, who is the lady who just pulled up, and many other questions. Music-wise, the diegetic sound of the radio, as I already talked about this before, it also attracts the audience because the walkie-talkie noise is not very clear. Therefore, kind of making the audience focus on what and try to uncover what is being said by the two women. Also, the muffled music in the the muffled non-diegetic background soundtrack also attracts the audience, especially if they're thriller fans, because this kind of music on the background is just part of a convention of a thriller, therefore suiting people who like thrillers. Editing plays a big role when trying to address the audience because it captures their attention, because the editing in our thriller is one of the key features that makes it build tension. For example, we started off with very slow-paced editing, and in some bits it kind of went to fast pace. That transformation from slow to fast kind of intrigues the audience because it makes the suspense build. Also, the fact that we went back and forth into the camera's point of view and the two women. And so those changes kind of lets the audience know what's happening in that area and what's happening from the cameraman's perspective. In the thriller, we subverted because we made the woman, the wife, afraid of another woman, the killer. So, therefore, it makes the audience surprised because what is usually shown in thrillers is that the woman is usually afraid of the man, who is usually the killer. However, in our thriller, we use the woman as the killer.